Can you hear me? Kate, can you hear me? Kate, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Amazing.
Were we live?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I could just keep hearing your intro.
Oh, really? Okay, that played for about a minute.
Yeah, it just kept
Oh,
playing.
okay. Okay, so however, we're gonna have that edited.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get things started. I'm super excited uh, because of what you're about to share. Many people don't take branding serious,
Mm-hmm.
or many people don't really take advantage of their story and
Right.
how that connects with them selling their product or services.
Very
And I think if there is anyone that can share on this topic in a way that would transform people's lives, you are that person. Not
awesome.
only that, I've been watching your videos. Like I just watched one before coming on. I watched an entire podcast with some two gentlemen, and it was quite impressive. What stands out is the passion that you bring into what you do. So, Kate, for our audience that are getting to hear from you from the very, very first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your story?
Yeah, and yeah, thank you for those kind words. I really do believe in sharing your story and being authentic and vulnerable because that is truly what connects us. In fact, that is what connected me to you when
Yeah.
we were at the event and you stood up and you were really speaking from the heart. And so I thought, oh, I really like this guy because I could feel your emotion. And that is what we all want. We all want to feel emotion, we want to feel connection. So my background is I've done a lot of different things, from hair to Starbucks, making lattes, to real estate, being a realtor, and now I am a personal branding coach. And it really, this is my true passion and calling. Took me a while to find it, but it was part of my life forever, I would say. And it's how I grew in all the other businesses that I was involved in,
Yeah.
was simply by being myself and putting myself out there, whether it was digitally or not. It was always connecting, right, with people and
Yeah.
building relationships. And that's really all your personal brand is. And if we talk about it online, it's really just your reputation. And now we have it in a digital form, but it's who you are. And when you're not in the room, what people are
Yeah.
going to say about you.
Wow. Amazing. That is a good start. Now, what is your epiphany story? What was that moment that you realized in your career that, oh, people connect with me because of my story rather than just the product or service that I sell?
I think that when I really realized that for the first time was when I got into real estate. And I got my real estate license and started telling everyone, "Hey, I'm a realtor. If you need any, if you're buying or selling or you know anyone, have them reach out." And I remember I had this thought initially of, what am I going to share online about being a realtor when I haven't sold any houses? I mean, I just got
Yeah.
my license. I was like,
Yeah.
how in the heck is anyone going to take me seriously? Because I don't even know what I'm doing yet. And so I had that thought. And then I was like, well, I have a lot of experience in other areas that would make me a better realtor. And I have access to a great mentor. So I'm just going to make videos and talk about the things I enjoy. And honestly, it wasn't all real estate. I would sprinkle the real estate stuff in there, but it wasn't all real estate. And then COVID happened, and
Yeah.
I was stuck in my house with my daughters. So we just went wild on TikTok, and we just had a blast making, I mean, there was no strategy, and we were just making videos to have fun. And what ended up happening was I started getting all these calls about, "Hey, can you help me find a house? Can you help me find a house?" And I wasn't even really talking about real estate. I mean, it was in there, but not much.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized people want to work with people they like and that they trust.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have all the answers as long as you are honest. Like, people are craving authenticity and honesty.
Yeah.
If you don't know everything, just say you don't know it and say you have the resource to get them the answer. They'll appreciate that just as much as if you were the expert.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. So COVID kind of brought you out and you became creative in that season.
That's how it started. Yeah, for me with social media. And then real estate is what led me to working with Ryan Pineda.
Yeah.
And I was actually selling for
Mhm.
him and his media company at the time.
Okay.
And so this is, I guess, how I transitioned to the coaching side. uh, I would sell people into the media services, but then they would come back to me for coaching, even though I was in sales. I wasn't on the coaching side. And it just kept happening and happening. And so then I was like, okay, God, I guess this is what you want me to do. And
Yeah.
that's where I realized this is just, I have this gift where I can help extract everything that makes you unique. And I
Yeah.
basically hold up this mirror to you so you can see it, and then you can start putting it online.
Amazing. Uh, the way I want us to handle this, I definitely watch a lot of podcasts out there. One person is asking the question, the other person is answering. Uh, but the way I want us to go about is make it a little bit fun. Uh, if I ask you a question, you can ask me a question too. And I think making it that interactive is going to be beneficial because I think we both have a lot we can learn from each other.
Oh,
If that makes sense. And there is a lot I hope to learn from you, especially when it comes to personal brand. I didn't know that a story or the way I present myself out there could be that light bulb moment for me, or it's what will actually have people gravitate towards me. Uh, but you pick that up. And this
mhm.
is something many people have always highlighted, but I didn't really get it. Like, this is what connects you to others, if that makes sense. Yeah. So now, if I was making, say, a cake, I'm going to need eggs, I'm going to need butter, I'm going to need, like, uh, what are some of the components that people need to put together if they want to make this beautiful story or brand that helps them stand out in this crowded market?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I love that you said that you want to make this interactive and more of a conversation,
Yes.
because that is exactly how I like to host all of my podcasts as well. It
Oh,
is
wow.
it's a dance
Yeah.
between two people. It's not just question answer.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that. As far as the ingredients, or maybe the foundation, I would say, to having a powerful personal brand, it's really, it starts with you and knowing who you are. So for an exercise that I will often have my clients that I work with
Mhm.
do, this is
Mm.
really powerful. Because first, before you can start putting stuff out there, you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
So, and shockingly, a lot of people don't know themselves. So we start with writing your eulogy, and
Mm.
not as if you're writing it, but you have to ask yourself, if you died today, who would
Yeah.
write your eulogy? So who would that
Mm.
person be? And then what would they say? And right now, today, not tomorrow, not in 20 years, but today, what would they say? And so you write that out and you really reflect and look at
Mhm.
that. And that is a pretty true representation of how you're showing up in the world today. Now, if that is not what you want it to say, and it's missing some things, then that's an indicator that, okay, you get to show up more in your life more fully, because we don't know when our last day is. So, and
Wow.
then it's also a reflection of, oh, okay, this is the impact I have. These are my values. This is what matters most to me, not just this is what I do, because
Mm.
everyone goes to this is what I do first,
Yeah.
instead of this is who I am. And when
Yeah.
I leave, that it is not just physical material things that are left behind in my name, but it is what did I leave in the hearts of others.
Wow. That is powerful. This is the first time I'm hearing this. Like, you gotta write your eulogy. Like, what do I want the world to remember me for?
Yeah. Okay, I'll ask you a question here.
Okay.
Like, or I'm going to tell you something and then ask you a question.
Okay.
I've only had minimal interaction with you, right? Minimal,
Okay.
because we
Yes.
only met at an event and we've been following each other.
Yes.
So if someone said, please describe Roland to
Okay.
me, and how he impacted your life, what I would say from my point of view is I would say he took the microphone, stood up, and was talking about this book that he wrote, and
Yeah.
how he really wanted to change his country and save lives, truly,
Yes.
is that's what I heard. And then I would say he was so kind, and when I interacted with him and took a photo with me, and was just such a wonderful energy.
Yeah.
That would be the extent of what I would know, right?
Yes. Yes.
More than likely, if that is my experience and we had minimal interaction, that tells me that whoever you are closer with, you make massive impact. So do you
Wow.
think that's true?
That's amazing. I didn't even think about it that way. The way you put it is amazing. That what you are helping me to understand is you have to be intentional about life
Hmm.
because you never know.
Yes,
Wow.
100%. Well, you've seen, okay, so these young men, and I was watching
Mhm.
on your page, these young
Yes.
men that have had their lives taken,
Yes.
shot, they've been shot. Is this the
Yes.
way they're being killed?
Yes.
I can't even imagine this. I mean, what does that do to you? Like, how does that make you feel when you see these things?
It grieves my heart. If I can go to the extent of writing a book that is aimed at bringing perspective to a nation that is broken, we've lost more than 40,000 people. Uh, it tells you where my heart is because this is a community that I grew up in. And my thought is if I grew up in a community where there was violence, maybe I wouldn't have made it.
Hmm.
Uh, we didn't have everything, right? We didn't have that ideal job or what, we didn't have all of that. Uh, but we had each other.
Mhm.
We had a community where you can go out, come back maybe 2 a.m. and the community was safe. You could walk through.
Yeah.
I know everywhere is not safe, but where I grew up, you could really come back at that time of the night and no one attacks you. To think that we have thousands of people in the diaspora that cannot even go back to that city again. That is what we are dealing with, Kate.
Why do you think people, so So I don't believe that any of us are born uh, angry and
Yes,
uh, murderers. I
yes.
don't think we're born with that spirit. So why do you think this happens?
Yeah. Basically, our country has a colonial heritage, uh, unlike most African countries. So we were colonized by France and Britain. So when they left, 25% of the country speaks English. That is, we are the minority. That is where I come from. And then we have majority speaks French.
Okay.
So the minority feels like they are not being heard.
Mm.
That is from our side of the country. We make up like 25% of the country. So for years, they've been talking about their voice is not being heard.
Mhm.
So to the extent where the teachers and the lawyers went on the street saying, oh, we can't have the French system in our education system. We want it to be pure English. And this is what we want. And so they feel like the majority is trying to make the whole country become a French speaking nation or Francophone country. So they're like, we're going to push back. So it
Mm.
all started with the teachers and the lawyers, and then the crowd supporting these people, bringing up their own little grievances of maybe marginalization and all that. And then, boom, it's packed for 8 years now. This is what has been going on.
So isn't that interesting? It's like what you said.
Yeah.
They don't feel they're being heard.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is honestly where most things stem from. Uh,
Mm,
and if you, I tie this into personal branding.
yeah.
Everyone wants to be heard, but because I believe so many of us are disconnected from ourselves,
Yeah.
we'll speak and we'll put our something out there, but the moment that it gets criticized or judged, then reaction happens and
Yeah.
it's not a pleasant reaction, right? So then this is where you
Yes.
get fighting and war because I'm it's like I want to be heard, I'm going to share, but if I'm not whole as
Yeah.
myself, then the moment somebody says anything, then I'm going to break down. And
Yeah.
so I think it starts with self-love and education around that, and then being able, I mean, I just think it's so sad how we're oftentimes not able to hear others' opinions,
Yeah.
even because we don't have to agree,
Yeah.
but we can still respect.
Hmm. So let me ask you this, Kate. I think you got me emotional anytime I'm talking about the stories. I mean, I just get like sucked into it
Mhm,
because if I wrote maybe because the book I wrote is in both French and English, you can see how thick the book is. It took me a lot of research, benchmarking, looking at other nations and what they have achieved over time. Uh, what are some of the mistakes? Because unlike this, like I titled the book, The Cameroon Dream, right? We have the American dream, of course.
mhm,
This is a brand. This is an idea, a vision that can really change a country.
mhm,
Maybe there is something that I'm not doing right as well in the process. Now, but when it comes to branding, right? Maybe I'm not really, because if people understood this, I think the nation will be a lot much better by now.
mhm.
Like, because my whole perspective is personal responsibility.
Yes.
There are things I can't control, and that is what is outside of me.
Yep.
I can't control the weather. I can't control the government. I can't control my parents,
Mhm.
but I can control me. I have responsibility over my life. And so that is my perspective on things, and that is what I'm attempting to articulate, that if we take personal responsibility, the community will be a lot much better. So, oh,
Absolutely.
what are some of the biggest mistakes, uh, Kate, people make when building a personal brand, and how can they avoid those mistakes?
So I'm trying to be careful with how I respond to this.
Yeah.
I don't think you can necessarily make a mistake, because I
Mm,
think it's an ongoing process and journey of self discovery, truly. So I don't want people to think they will make a mistake. And oftentimes,
mm,
if the biggest mistake of all is just not showing up, or not
mm,
consistently showing up, or thinking that your identity is attached to a title, to
mm,
being an author, you being
mm.
whatever it is, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
wants to put themselves in a box, into a niche. And so that, I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I think
yeah.
that is a mistake, is if you are focused on only if the way you're measuring the success of your brand is based off of how many followers you have, how many likes a video gets, then I think you've made a mistake. Now, if
Mm,
you are measuring your success off of the lives that you have impacted, that are directly, it's like it's in alignment with your mission in
yeah.
life, not just your current business mission, but like your personal life mission. And no matter what business you're doing at whatever point in life, you can insert that in to the brand. Doesn't matter. You could sell anything, as long as you are at your highest level of authenticity and who you are. So the mistake that you could make is not understanding yourself, and then trying to show up in a way just to get views, just to be viral, just to
Mm,
for some metric, instead of, is this, like, if I was talking to you as a client, it's like, anytime you make a video, the question I'd be asking is this in alignment with my mission, and
yeah.
are this going to make people feel something when they watch this video?
Wow. That's amazing. Like, besides the vision of helping my nation become better, uh, I'm a strategic marketing and business consultant,
Mm,
and I'm also running alongside a capital advisory firm,
okay.
helping people, uh, customizing strategies that can help people grow and scale their business.
Mhm,
Customized.
mhm.
There is standard, like this is what works for every industry, but consulting and understanding your goals and customizing a strategy that fit your goal,
Yeah.
so that is my USP, right? Like my unique selling
Yep.
proposition. So, uh, when it comes to branding, because the platform where I upload most of my videos on YouTube,
Mhm.
I also upload business videos alongside videos where I'm analyzing some of the societal ills from the nation that I come from.
Yeah.
So you are touching on something very important, because I might have this passion, but also have a business.
Mhm.
And my thought was, is it a mistake that I'm making to join everything on one platform and say, this is who I am? I run a business, but I'm also passionate about seeing the country where I come from get better. I was like, okay, should I separate them? Uh, but what I'm hearing from you is like, this is who I am, and I should not maybe separate that from the totality of what I do. Am I making sense? I don't know if I'm mixing it up.
I think so. I think I understand what you're saying, and this is a common question. Uh,
Yes.
of, yes, should I only talk about business in this, you know, area, and then should I keep the other stuff over here, or how many accounts do I need to have, and all of that.
Yes, yes,
Now, I focus on Instagram. So I'm certainly not a YouTube expert. I think that when it comes to YouTube, it is okay to kind of have different channels or pages for different categories, but that's a separate topic. As if we just take your Instagram presence,
okay,
and because that's what I focus on. You should absolutely talk about all aspects of who you are today, which includes your business. It includes your mission. It includes you as a. Do you have kids? I can't. I don't recall if we talked.
yes, I do. I'm married with 3 kids. Yes,
Yeah. So okay, being a father, being a
yes,
husband, the things that you value, just in I
yes,
mean, whatever those things are for you, and sharing. And the hard part, which
yeah,
most people struggle with,
okay,
sharing your failures, not the
mm,
old ones, the current struggles. When you're having things go wrong, and then how are you problem solving, or how are you working through them? Those are what connect us, because then we, and granted, there's a way to do this. Like, I'm not saying you should just be, putting every little detail,
yeah,
but a lot of times the things that you think you don't want people to know are
yeah,
actually the thing that connects us to others.
yes,
Like, one
yeah,
of my favorite creators, and she's been such a huge inspiration to me. Her name is Jen Gottlieb. You may have seen her at
yes,
events. She
okay,
says, "Your mess is your message."
yes, okay. So, on that note, John, go back. Uh, let me see. So, how can you advise maybe professionals, business owners? I talk with them on a daily basis, right? How can they leverage, say, social media to create that online presence with their personal brand? Like, you talk about Instagram.
Hmm.
So, should they use just one platform, get used to that platform, uh, maybe create that presence in that platform, understand how that platform really works before they diversify to other platforms? What is your take on that?
Yeah, that would be my recommendation, is to keep it simple at first, and don't, because then other if you're overwhelmed, then you're not going to continue to take the action. So yeah, absolutely, I would say stick with one platform. And the other thing I would say is commit to small actions daily, meaning make a video every day, and it doesn't have to have a perfect edit, but
Yeah,
it's you sharing what you actually are trying, the message you're trying to put out there, and you're making those connections with whatever audience you have, whether it be 2 people or 200,000, doesn't matter, because that is how you build a community of engaged followers, is you show up for them every day, instead of, oh, I need the production team, I need to go
yeah,
in this way, I have to edit like this and that before I can show up, because
yeah,
you're already behind if that's the approach, in my eyes, because
yeah.
you don't need to do it that way anymore.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I'll take you back to what you said previously about personal aspects of your life. I want to see how all of this ties together. Uh, like I have my 5 Fs. Five. So it is faith. Number one for me is faith. Number two is family,
Hmm.
fitness, finance, and freedom.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, that is my 5 Fs. So you are giving me confidence. I mean, like just talking with you, because sometimes I'm like, am I doing something wrong? When I'm lifting up weights in the gym, because I have a gym at home. I used to go out, but I think sometimes it's faster to just do my 30 minutes and then I get back on what I'm doing. So yeah, so I was like, okay, is it okay when I'm working out? I put it out there, record, I put it out there. Is it okay to put maybe because I bring my son sometimes into the gym, but I don't put that out there? Should I put that?
Yeah.
I have all of this. Sometimes I train with my wife. I'm like, should we put this out there? So things like that. So what is your take?
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you share some of that, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to see that," right? Like, I mean, how old are your kids?
Yes, my eldest is 7. I have 7, 5, and 3.
Okay, yeah, so you have young children.
Yes.
So yeah, there's so many things that you can share from that angle and perspective of, yeah, like how you prioritize time with your wife. Maybe you guys have date nights on every
Yeah.
week. I don't know. You could talk
Yes.
about that. You could talk about how faith is such a core part of everything you do in the household. Anything, yeah, working out and making it happen, right? Like you're making these things happen. That can be such an inspiration to other people if they see that, right? Because there's so much more to your current success than just
Yes.
showing the book or showing the marketing and this other business that you have and all these things. Like there's behind that, in order for you to get to where you are today, you had to do a lot
Yes.
of different things, and so it's
That's
like,
true.
talk about those things.
Wow. Okay. I think I'll let you ask me a question before I come back. I mean, like I'm trying to take in everything that you're saying, and uh,
Tell me this. Tell me,
yes,
what is the what have been some of the most pivotal moments for you in your life? Up to how old are you?
I'm 35, going on 35.
Okay, 35.
Yes.
So we're around the same age. I'm about to be 38.
Oh, okay.
So okay, so 35 years.
You don't look it. I mean, you don't look 38. Wow.
So yeah, so what are some things and maybe like some failures
Yes.
in those 35 years? What would be some of those stories?
I've started multiple businesses and failed.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
See, now
Yes.
this is intriguing. Tell me more.
Uh, One of the biggest challenges that I struggle with in most businesses, like this is the second marketing business that I've started, and this is picking up because I had to drop even the idea. I knew from the beginning that there is nothing you will do without marketing,
Mhm.
especially a customized marketing, because it was not like I didn't go to the marketing conferences, I didn't read the books, I didn't buy the coaching programs. I did all of that, but a customized marketing approach that fit my need was
Mhm.
what was missing out. So this is like the second marketing. My beginning, I started in film productions. So I ran a film production business in my when I was the yeah when I was yes when yeah when I was 19. I started a film production business. I actually met my wife on set. She she was an actress. Yes, so she came for my production and all of that. That's how we got to meet each other.
Oh, that is so cool. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that has been my journey. I've always loved challenges, how
Mhm.
to solve problems, or the passion to see problems solved. I've always gravitated towards that. Right. So I'm always asking those questions. I
Why do
know the
you think you gravitated towards problem solving, though?
sorry.
Why do you think you are that way? Like, as a child, were you just a problem solver, or like, how did you develop this ability?
I think the earliest moment, I grew up in a house. I was like one of the maybe my siblings say that, but maybe my I was like my dad's favorite child. Like he liked yeah, he really loved me that much growing up. So
Why do you
he
think
said, yeah, go ahead, man.
you're the oldest son?
No, I'm the middle child.
I'm the middle child too. Okay, so why were you the favorite?
Which, yeah, that is, it's even confusing because most of middle children, they get neglected a lot in the family. It's
Yeah,
like nobody cares about you guys. My
right.
wife is a middle child as well. So, but for some reason, I think I have this curiosity, that kind of a child that wants to know, ask questions. I think from my very early beginning, I want to know why is it like this. I
Hmm.
want to know, and I think that curiosity might be something that my father picked up and liked from the very beginning. Maybe, maybe. So, yeah. So he sent me to I started in a very good primary school, right? A private school.
Okay.
So, uh, most of the children that came to that school were wealthy. I was one of the broke ones in school, but he made sure that I went to that school.
Just
So,
you or the other kids too?
trust me, for some reason, I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I went to that school. You know, every morning you see these people driving with beautiful cars,
Uh-huh.
drop off their children, and I have to just walk to that school.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, it gave me, you're sitting among people, their father, their their mother, they come from a very wealthy background, and you are one of those children that don't really have.
Mm.
And you have to make yourself relevant in that environment.
Wow.
The only thing that made me have friends in that school was because I was academically smart.
Mm.
So while they have their cars, beautiful lunch bags, and everything, they will only come to me because they want an answer to a question. Or we can only interact at that level because they can see how I approach education. So what made me stood out in that school was loving education, being curious, learning, and
Mhm.
setting myself apart. And I think which is what connects with what you're talking about branding. How do you stand out? I
Yeah.
was able to stand out in that environment because of that.
But so help me understand. So you didn't feel a connection to those children at that school outside of just the academics?
Yes, I felt lonely. I think that has robbed off my entire life. I've learned to love to be alone.
But why?
In that school, I don't fit in. You come back home, you can't really fit in because your brothers go to these other schools, your sisters go to these other schools. So when they come back, they have a different conversation. And I'm
Mhm.
going to this school, I'm in there, it's a different conversation. So you really feel alone most of the time.
I think this is interesting what you're saying because, and I think this is very common for, yeah, this all goes together because it's, you see, we we attach our identity to the external things in our lives. So, like in your case, that school, okay, they were all wealthy and they were getting out of their nice car and you were walking. So you felt different. But
Yes.
and probably your intelligence made you feel good enough, but really none of that mattered because
Yes.
if you really were to have had an understanding of true human connection, which most of us don't have this understanding because everything is focused on, how book smart we are,
Yeah.
you would realize, like, if you went back to school today, I'm sure you would be curious in a different way about each of those students because
Hmm.
at the I mean, just take you and I, like, we're very different from different places.
Yes.
You're a man, I'm a woman, right? Different upbringings, but at our heart, we're the same because the
Yes.
heart is what connects us all. So if you were to connect from the heart with those students, I bet you they feel just as lonely as you.
Wow. Hmm.
You think?
I mean, like, I've never got to the place where I get to even share this story. I don't know how you pull this out of me. I don't even like explain this to people the way I did today.
I love
But
this
what?
story. I think this is like so beautiful.
Yeah. Hmm. So what you're saying is those children feel lonely as well. They have insecurities just like me.
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
that we all have the same insecurities. And I think that we put on these like we put on armor is what it
Yes.
is. It's the armor of I'm poor, I'm rich, I'm
Yes.
this, I'm that. Nick, say whatever you want to call it, right? But if you look at people in their eyes and you genuinely are curious to know about that individual person, we are all the same and we have all the same desires and we all just want to feel seen and heard. That's it.
Hmm. Wow. Hmm. So, wow. So what is because I don't really want my identity to be tied to what I can provide or
Mhm.
because of what I know.
Mhm.
I want people to just see me and understand I'm a human like you, and irrespective of performance, do you see me and do you understand me?
Mhm.
Because now uh, I read a minimum of 4 books a month,
Wow.
every month. Uh, and also going with the podcasting thing, sometimes you listen to the Audible and all of that. Uh, because I feel like, I don't know, that side of me has made me feel like I have a lot of responsibility and a lot to give to the world.
Mhm.
That drove me down this path of becoming more so that I can give more because I feel like you will never ever give enough. So it has, throughout my journey in life, it has made me to feel like I'm like uh, that source of light that I was born to pour light on others.
Yes.
So every time I'm always looking at what can I get to pour light on somebody? What can I look
Mhm.
for so I can give? So,
Mhm.
so I don't know, but you're helping me to have a different perspective on everything. But I don't know if that kind of helped me to find my own calling in life. That because you don't fit in that environment, and so
Yes.
you have to give something in that environment, so that is what people, at least even when you're leaving, you feel better about yourself. But I don't know.
Yes,
Or
that's what I can relate to what you're saying. Yeah, you feel like well, you have a spirit of giving. You probably
yes,
are I believe we all do. Some are born maybe with more than others. But you get a lot of fulfillment out of being needed. So because you were smart and you could provide the answer, I'm sure it made you feel good to give that answer. But
yes.
the true I think the goal
Mhm.
is knowing that you don't have to give anyone anything and you
Mhm.
simply existing, you are enough. But of course we want to serve and we want to give back, of course. But
Yes.
like it shouldn't make you uh well, a lot of times we just keep doing and trying to be, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like
Mhm.
I just want to be there for people because like selfishly, yeah, that makes me feel like I'm worthy.
Yes.
That is what how, this is how we feel, but like we're really all worthy wherever we are, no matter what we've achieved, no matter what title. I don't care if you're a homeless bum. And speaking of that too, you know, to make the world a better place,
Mhm.
this is where it starts. It starts at I'm not saying you have to give the homeless guy money. I mean, you
Yes.
can. I think that's generous and lovely, but like look that person in the eye and acknowledge that they exist. Because even just that and a smile can go a very long way.
Yes.
So we need to see people as people and know that
Yeah.
you don't have to have anything attached to you to be good enough, truly.
Hmm. I mean, I think you're relieving a lot of burden on me because even sometimes when I serve my clients,
Hmm.
I still feel like I didn't give enough.
I know. You know what? I sometimes feel that too. I'm not gonna lie, because I want them to be uh yeah, I want them to feel good and feel like they got more than enough. So I can relate to that. But really, the client, you can give the client all the information, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's also like it's not just on you, right? Because going
Yes.
back to the personal responsibility, it really comes down to each of us individually and what we decide and what we believe based on the information that we have.
Wow. So now, with the advent of social media, Kate, and I think the maybe in the past 10 years, social media has been very prevalent, a powerful tool to building a personal brand.
Mhm.
Uh, we met at an event that is networking.
Mhm.
Uh, what role does networking play to building a personal brand
I think
from your perspective?
it's everything. I think this is the
Mm.
the okay, this is what people think nowadays, and this is where we have to shift the perspective.
Mhm.
People think, okay, I can just make these videos and I can reach all these people. And as long as
Mm.
I get this certain number of
Mhm.
followers and this and that, then
Mhm.
I've got a powerful personal brand. And the truth is, you can have a lot of followers
Mhm.
and it can look like you have a strong personal brand, but you could have minimal relationships, if any. So to me, that's not a good indicator of your brand. It's a combination of what you do in real life and online. And it's using the online space to build real connections, not just for virality, but it's to make the video that, like, for you to make a video of, have you ever felt like you didn't fit in? I mean, even just people that aren't from this country. I'm always so fascinated, and I've like not been many places. I need to travel. But
Mhm.
they are always so successful. And I
Mm.
think it's because they have this resilience and like determination. And
Yeah.
Americans are so entitled. And
Yeah.
it's wild to see. But anyway, I know I've worked with a lot of clients that they have an accent, right? So they
Yes.
think that that's like a negative. They think it's a
There
negative.
you go.
They have an accent. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is what makes you amazing, because everything that comes out of your mouth is going to sound way more fascinating than mine because you have something unique and different.
Wow. You know, kid, it's people like you that really change the world. Uh, Back to that issue of networking and not fitting in, just like you said, people who come from other backgrounds, other nations, looking at building a brand, right? I want to be able to serve a wider audience
Mhm.
because I feel like, just like what I said, you feel like you always have to give more to be relevant
Yeah.
or to be acknowledged within a given space.
Mhm.
Now, you acquire more, but you can't give more because maybe you have that insecurity of an accent. Like maybe they don't understand me, but you are saying, okay, that doesn't really matter. That makes you unique, right?
Yeah.
When your accent makes you unique. But again, finding myself in America, it was like I found myself back in that school. in a space where I didn't fit in, and I had to work hard to give more.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So how did you see? Because, okay, let's go back to the event we met at for a moment. A lot of people got up and took the microphone and told their story. You remember, you were there.
Yes.
I don't remember a lot of them that were in the back or back of the room there because they didn't move me. Yours, I felt. You see the difference? Like, to me, that's the difference of branding, of a good brand that you can resonate with. If you're just giving me a list of things you want to achieve, oh, I've done XYZ and I'm going to do blah, 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 like whatever. I don't feel it, but you were different. It was different. You see, and that to me, you had a deeper mission and purpose. So I think, again, for branding and having a presence online that is actually changing lives, that's what it takes. So I don't remember your exact words of what
Yeah.
you said. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I just remember it made me feel something. And that is the difference. So it doesn't, your accent, that wasn't even a thought because
Wow.
I was in my heart. I don't know if this makes sense, but like,
Yeah.
I don't remember all those other people. And a lot of them didn't have accents, but I don't remember that because it was a combination of things, not just your accent, because I didn't even think about that. It was just it was a feeling. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. You're taking a lot of the pain off me to it help me keep a level mind. You don't. Okay.
What did you say? Do you remember what you said exactly?
Yeah. I think I said something within the lines of why I wrote the book, The Cameron Dream,
Mm-hmm.
and the story behind that book. Uh, my father-in-law was kidnapped back home.
Did you say that part of the
But
story?
I didn't say that in there. But I'm coming like this is what brought everything out. Like when I'm sharing the story, this is my pain. Like you're leaving, all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and the phone rings. Your wife is calling. Dad has been kidnapped by our own people because they got to a place where they're like, if you are against this mission of us separating this country, you are our enemy. So this is not like the government, it was our own people who did this to us. So uh I was coming out of the pain of the 40,000 lives that has been lost, and that is what I shared. I talked about a country that is broken, people segregated because of linguistic differences, and having to prove a point to each other when at the end of the day it wouldn't matter. And I'm like, we've lost 40,000 plus lives, and I wrote this book to unify the country so that we can have some sense of responsibility and take ownership of our own lives and our country. So, and something that I added on what I said was people don't have to feel, because the same way I felt in that school is the same way the Anglophones, those who speak English, the part that I come from, feel in our country. So it's like the thing is haunting you everywhere. And it's like the same way that I feel in America. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why? I'm trying to take this off. It's like a weight, like just be present. And that is what you're reminding me today. It's not performance. Just be present.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So where I come from, I'm the minority. This is black people or black people, because that's why when we talk about black and white in America, I'm like, I come from a country where just because of my Anglophoneness, because I speak English, I'm the minority.
Mhm.
Uh, Now in America, I'm an immigrant. I'm a minority, so it's
Mhm.
everywhere. Like, how do you get it off? So my journey has been to take it off, but not only taking this baggage off me, but helping others as well. Uh,
Yeah.
like when they talk about things like, I don't know if I'm getting off track, but let's stay on ground. Okay.
No, no.
Yeah.
What did they talk about?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, to be honest, Kate, I don't see the world that way. Uh, I've never experienced police brutality,
Mhm.
whether it's back home or here. So never. I think the way I believe the policeman is somebody's son, somebody's daughter, and I know they are going out to their job. They want to keep the community safe. That is what they are trained to do.
Mhm.
And when I come across any of them, even if I'm wrong, of which I've rarely experienced that, I'm quick to have an honest conversation with that human being.
Mhm.
You said I was speeding. Yes. From every indication I was. And I know it is wrong. And just speak to him, understanding that he woke up in the morning and probably has a wife and children and is out there serving and will go back to them. And I just talk to them that way. Uh, a cousin of mine had a conversation with me, and he asked me a question when I just came to America. He said, if your signal light is bad and you're driving with that car, what are you most afraid of? And I told him, you want me to be honest? He said, yes. I said, I'm more afraid of hurting someone that might be driving behind me and not see that. He
Yeah.
said you should be afraid more of the police officer that might stop you. I said, I don't think so. And so the reason why I bring this up is it has always been a challenge of me fighting this thing of feeling like you have to prove something in there while also trying to give in there so that people understand what is going on with you within that environment.
I know, and this is a sensitive topic, especially right now, as you know, just even politically, right? Like
Yes.
America is very divided, um,
Yes.
and again, I think it all goes back to we really do all want the same things,
Yes.
and the more we can remember to look at each other through God's eyes, truly.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, the better off you're gonna feel. You're gonna have more peace in your heart because, yes, is there always gonna be evil and bad? Sure, yeah, and it's gonna happen to no matter what color we are,
Yes.
no matter what, and it's what we choose to focus on. Like you're saying, it's what you choose to focus on and what you choose to believe. And if you believe that most people are good, most that's going to be your reality. Most people around you are going to be good.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, my mantra has always been to see things from the other person's perspective.
Mhm.
And I always try to keep that lens on, even if I'm emotional about that situation.
Yeah.
How can I see it from the other person's perspective? I always keep that on. So, uh, when you look at branding, I know we are getting emotional, getting into politics and all that. Uh, uh, but are you liking the conversation so far?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I, I, I- as we wrap up this session, Kate, I want to ask you, like, when it comes to personal branding, especially in this dispensation, when you look at what has changed over time, especially in your career as well. Uh, what is that one case study or one experience or encounter that you had with a client that changed everything for them? Or was that light bulb moment for them that you can recall?
I actually have one that happened yesterday. This is really powerful. So this client had spent, I mean, over $100,000 on coaching between different programs, before he came to me, and was still stuck. He still hadn't started his podcast. He wasn't creating content consistently. He was incredibly frustrated and just, yeah, didn't even know what to do, right? He just felt so lost. He was focusing so much on labeling himself, putting himself into a niche, and was paralyzing him. And I said to him, what do you really care about? What could you talk about every day? And what he really wanted to do was help young men that were struggling with depression, suicide, help bring them to Jesus.
Yeah.
This was what he felt called to do. I said, "Why don't you just talk about that?" And he started to think about it. I said, "Don't worry about the edit. Don't worry about anything. Why don't you just post every day and share from the heart?" So he starts doing this, and he's doing it every day. He's about 2 weeks in, and yesterday he sends me a message. He said somebody called him, and it was like an old friend uh, or cousin. I can't remember which one, but he's somebody. Uh, I've been watching your videos, and I really love what you're sharing. My 16-year-old son is having a hard time, and we're not able to get through to him. I was wondering if you could talk to him, because I really think you're going to be able to speak into him. And he, of course, said yes, and tells me the story. He said, "I wouldn't have known that this guy even watched my videos, because he doesn't like them. He doesn't like them, right? He doesn't do that, so he didn't know he'd even seen them. I wonder who else is seeing my videos that I don't know is seeing them, that it's helping."
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, exactly." So this is why you show up and you share what you feel called to share,
Yeah.
regardless of performance, because you don't know who's on the other end of that video. And so this is just one example, uh, but that I thought was pretty powerful for him to have that like awareness,
Yeah.
and still make his videos get 200 views. Okay, so in today's world, right, that would be like, oh, that's not that many. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
Because if it's serving the purpose and the mission, then that's the point, regardless
Yeah.
of the views.
Powerful. So, uh, Miss Kate, as we wrap up this session, so what you're sharing, if you are building a personal brand and maybe a corporate brand, because I'm building both at the
Mhm.
same time, uh, should I merge everything? Or if someone is watching, maybe someone is watching right now and they are looking at, should they blend everything in one place or should they separate the brands, like personal, corporate, or personal or business personal?
I think that I'm a big believer in having talking about everything on your page. Now, if you want to have a separate one for different businesses, then you can do that depending on the size of your team and your capacity. But if you don't have the capacity to do a lot, then just focus on one platform and talk about all the things that you do, and you just start there. But that part will never stop. You may have teams that run some of the business accounts. Okay,
Yeah.
your personal brand, it is attached to you because it's
Mm.
a person. So
Yes.
a person that's going to have different businesses and do different things, and yeah, and then you just bring all the people along with you on the journey. You see, because if they're following you for just your niche, if they're following you just because you have marketing, the moment you don't do marketing anymore, they may not follow you. But if
Mm.
they're following you because I'm following Roland because he is heart centered, a man of faith, cares
Yes.
about family, wants to help everybody feel seen and heard and like they do fit in this world, and he wants to spread kindness and bring the world literally together. I will follow you no matter what business you do.
Mm. Wow. I mean, for those who are watching, I think I got more. I think this session was for me. I think I think this was really for me. I'm getting a lot of clarity
Good.
and synchronicity. I'm trying to get like unity
Hmm.
of purpose in this. Wow. So so point number one, you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect to say
Nope.
everything. You don't need the best cameras. You don't need the editing team. Just find a platform and have your voice heard.
Yeah. And talk about what you care about, not what you think is going to get you views.
To get your views.
You need to think, what is your main objective with showing up in the first place?
And you don't need to have maybe your personal brand and your business brand separated. You have to put them. Let people know this is you and this is what you have to offer the world.
Yeah.
In business, in family, faith, in one spot. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, should I? Because my undergrad was in divinity, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I've been a pastor, manage, yeah, yeah. So my undergrad is in divinity. So sometimes it's like, should you put a scripture in there? Should you preach to people when you're talking about business? Because this, and this is what I'm trying to understand, Kate. Okay, I tried as much as possible to limit scriptures in this book, but I'm a man of faith, like strong faith. I believe in God with all my heart. Without Him, I'll be nothing, right? Because it's like when you are talking about the scriptures, people come around you, maybe they start asking for things, or either they ask you, give me some money. You're a pastor, you're supposed to give, or they say, "Oh, because you have this perspective on politics or maybe on the government." I'm like, we've been blaming the government forever. Nobody's coming to save us. Won't we stop? You see what I'm saying? Like, let's try to see what we can do for ourselves. They're like, "Oh, we thought you were a man of God." You see what I'm saying? Like, you're a man of God. You should know that everybody's against the government. You are supposed to be against the God. I said, no, even Jesus Christ was not against the government, right? He was walking with the people. He was against the scribes and the Pharisees,
Mm-hmm.
the teachers of the law. Those are the people he was against. So I'm like, let's work on us. Now we thought you were a man of God. Now all of a sudden that makes you feel like, okay, can I just be human and I don't maybe express myself, be mindful of what I say because they might start judging me based on my me being a clergy. So so how do you balance everything? Because when I talk about faith being number one, that is what I mean.
So you need to Own it. If faith is number one, faith is number one. If that is what you feel, then in fact, there's a really good. Do I have this book here? Let me show you this. You probably know him. If you don't, you've got to look him up. He's passed away, but Dr. Miles Monroe.
Yeah, yes, yeah, that's one of my my mentors in the very early beginning. Yes, not like meant like
Yeah.
studied his work a lot, read his books.
Okay.
Yes, listen to him a lot. Yes.
This man speaks to my soul. Everything he says, I'm like obsessed with it. Okay. But
Yes.
this knowing this is why I say number one, before you show up to share and speak and be seen, you have to know with such conviction who you are and what you stand for. If
Yeah.
you stand for faith, then you stand for faith, and it doesn't matter what anyone says. You know who you are. It doesn't matter. They're gonna be people that don't like you, because the only way that you can avoid criticism and judgment is for you to be like everyone else and to fit in and to not be different. That is the only way to play it safe, and that is also a miserable existence, because
Yes.
we're not designed to fit in. We are all uniquely made. There's only one you. We're not supposed to fit in with everyone else. And there's not just one way of doing things. So, like, people can say whatever they want to say about you, but if you know your mission, it doesn't matter. It's okay. If that's what you think, that's your perspective. But I know what I've been called to do. And this is, and I can be a man of God, and I can have boundaries, and I can say no to you with love. That doesn't make me less of a Christian.
Yeah. Wow. Hmm. Wow.
Think about it too,
Yes.
Roland. Think about this.
Yes.
Andy Elliott, right?
Yes.
We were at his event. He is so intense, right? Like the
Yes. Yes.
intensity. You either love him or you hate him. There's no
Yes.
in between. And that is a good way of looking at powerful personal brands, because they have such conviction for what they stand for. And so that's, I guess, the ingredients. Going back to your original question, the ingredients is
Yeah.
unwavering belief and conviction for your purpose.
Powerful. Because like I mean, like, this has made me try to stay away from mixing. It's not like I don't speak in religious circles, but I try to separate the two. Like, we were having a conversation last week, my wife and I, with a couple of believers, and this pastor was sharing that meeting. We're sitting on a table like this, and he was trying to explain why we should tithe, why you should give a tenth
Yeah.
to God. So he put that up front to the believers, and he was like, okay, this is why. Now this is what people do. He take out some oranges, about 10, and he put them on the table. And he's like, uh, when we get our salary or our wages, this is
Mm-hmm.
what people do. They spend the money for the rent, the
Yeah.
food, everything, and then the last is what they give to God.
And you have to
And
do it first, right? Yeah.
yes, and he's like, you have to give the first orange
Mm-hmm.
because we work so hard for our money, so we don't want to give it away. So he said that, and everybody was asking, and he's like, okay, this is what the pastor of their church do. So he's a pastor too, but he's a pastor within a huge church. So he's leading in a department. So he was explaining those things, and I sat there. My wife was hinting me, like, say something. I said, I've been quiet here. I just listen. Right? She's like, say something. Uh, and I said, let everybody speak first. I'm listening. And I heard everybody give their perspective. So the other lady said, the pastor of the church, it's a huge church. Like, he's made things so transparent.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have access to the accounts in the church. So everything goes through a protocol, a system.
Yep.
And so it is important. So he was just explaining how the church system works. And my wife hinted me, she said, say something. And I just said to the pastor, I'm like, uh, the way we approach this giving to God thing, it's like we are giving out of what we have
Mm-hmm.
or what we have built or what we made. I said, no, we are giving because we have received.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't even have, we can't give. And if you have, the question is, who gave it to you in the first place? So you're not giving to God what you have worked for. You're giving to God what He has given you.
Mm, that's
So
good.
I'm just asking what I gave you. Can you give me 10%? I gave you $100. Can you give me $10? I gave you. And we just and that perspective, everybody's like, wow. Even the pastors, like I say, yeah, you don't need to stress. People don't want to give, they don't want to have to give. That's fine. No pressure. But you should have that understanding of giving from this perspective. Nothing that we have came from us. Everything came from God. And I said what I said. It created a relationship between the pastor and I immediately. And after that, we've been good friends over this week. He's been in touch. Uh, but I would have sat quiet and walked away without saying anything. That's my point. But every Christian was edified because of that perspective of giving that many people don't know about. And so, again, because of the mission that I have, it has made me to want to withdraw from the faith side because of the backlash that I get. So you're helping me to see how I can bring things together. And last week I saw that sitting quiet is not good, and people uh, to hear that much is given, much is required. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a moral responsibility to step up when it's necessary.
Yeah. And I mean, the impact you had just in that group, you see, it's like that's how that's how I see showing up in videos is if God put that in your heart like he basically put it in your heart to be a effective teacher because you love to learn, you love to share, you love to give, then all of those things you could be sharing in video and be reaching even more people, which is the beautiful thing, so like it's just so fun when you tap into showing up online on a deeper level. It is just amazing the people you connect with. I did a podcast today with a man that is in the Netherlands. I've never been there. It was like
Yeah,
9 p.m. At night, and it was whatever earlier in the day here. We met. We didn't meet at an event. We never met in person. We met on Instagram,
yeah.
and he's a body language expert. He worked for Tony Robbins.
Mm.
He's worked with some of the very best in the industry. He wrote a book, and we had a fantastic podcast. And I never would have met him had I
Yeah.
not been online. So I
Wow.
think it's just so powerful. I'm excited to see more content from you.
I think
Like,
you've opened up a new chapter in my life today.
oh, I love that.
Yeah. And you just picked up Miles Monroe right there. That man light up the fire in me. A pastor from the very beginning of my career. I used when I just came to America, I used to live with a pastor, and he will hear me speak just in regular conversations. I was not in ministry at that time,
Hmm.
and he just asked me, "Have you heard of Miles Monroe?" I said, "Who is Miles Monroe?" He introduced me to Miles Monroe more than 10 years ago, before he passed away. And he said, you need to listen to this man. I said, who is Miles Moreau? And he went on YouTube and played one message of Miles Moreau. It was like I met Jesus. Yeah, and I listened more, and his message on purpose, finding a purpose for living.
Yeah.
And what you are bringing that out again in me today to remind me, I mean, like he said, die empty,
Hmm.
that empty yourself, that you shouldn't go to the cemetery. His message on this: if you go to the cemetery, there are people there that dreams that have been buried, there books that were never written, songs that were never sung. I mean, like that is the message that it light up the fire in me. And to think that I'm trying to bury that side because of what people think, I, I think it's doing a disservice to the people that might connect with my message.
I absolutely believe that, and I know I can. All I know, what I felt in my heart that day you spoke, I could feel it, and if I felt it from just that one interaction, you are Miles Monroe. I feel like that is you, your
Yeah,
vibe. You know, I mean, you're you, but like it's the same. What's wild, this is what's wild about
yeah,
God, right? Like, this is what
yes,
God does. I
yeah.
didn't I didn't know this man. Okay,
Hmm.
nobody told me his name. I was on YouTube, I'll never forget, I was sitting at a Panera Bread, and I had my computer, a video pops up of him. I started listening to it, and then it just took me down all these other videos.
Yeah.
I Nobody told me about this book. I was
Wow.
to I Actually, I was going to that event where I met you. This was
Wow.
at the airport, okay? There was one of these left on the shelf. I look up, I see it. I think I need to buy this book. I read
Yeah.
it the whole flight there, which wasn't long, but I look at me. This is me writing inside of this
Yes.
book. I read this book in 2 days that weekend that I met you. This man is dead.
Yeah.
He has impacted my life, impacted your life, and countless other lives, right?
Yes.
Because he had the courage to be seen. And
Hmm.
that's legacy. I just think
Hmm.
it's so cool. I'm like, how cool is that?
So you read that book while you were coming to that event.
Yes. And I never even knew this book existed. I only knew when I saw it at the airport. And yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Um, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
So
that is the man that inspired me at the very beginning of my personal development journey. And before even going to the seminary to study, that is the man who sparked a fire. And it was a pastor that just heard me speaking and said, there's somebody I need to introduce his messages to you.
yeah.
And from that moment, it has never been the same again.
I have a feeling this moment is going to be really powerful for both of us too. It's God is good.
Yes,
But
it is. Wow. Uh, Kate, I think we have talked a lot, but I've learned a lot as well. Uh, and I think this session was for me. Even if no one gets to watch this video, there is one life that you've imparted today, and that is mine.
that means a
And
lot.
I'm going to sit back and watch this video from the beginning to the end again.
Well,
And thank you so much.
thank you for having me, and thank you for caring so deeply about humanity. And I fully support your mission.
Thank you. Yeah. So for those who are watching this, uh, whatever message you have in your heart, uh, use whatever platform that you can connect with the people that you care about, and do not separate your business from your personal life. Let people embrace the totality of who you are. And we've learned a lot from Miss Kate today on why a brand is very important. And whatever message you got out of this, take it and run with it and let it be yours. So, Miss Kate, as we uh, come to an end, what is the last thought you have in your mind for those who are watching? What will you say?
I would say if you feel lost and you're struggling to create, connect with your creator and you'll get all the answers.
Amazing. Miss Kate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me. All right.
Amazing.
Talk soon.
Okay.
Okay.